Recording.
And welcome, Karen. Welcome to healthy. I keep calling it healthy habits. It's because I've got that running off my tongue. Habits for Health and Success podcast.
Right.
I keep all this stuff in because I think it's gold. Do you know what I mean? I think that
Yeah.
when times I go wrong, I think, well, that's what happens. And plus, my editing tools aren't that good that I can't get them all out. So this is it. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for asking me on here.
Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you?
Oh, right. Yes. As Sally said, I am Karen Bregazzi Jones. I was born at an early age, and where was it? I was brought up in London, and I've kind of travelled up north and back down south again. I've done quite a number of different jobs over the years. I was a bank clerk when I left school. Don't ask me why I chose that, because numbers is not my thing. Yeah. And it proved that numbers wasn't my thing when I worked in the bank. I'm more of a person that likes to work with other people, for other people, if you see what I mean. Helping them. So when I left there, I did something completely different, where I worked in a psychiatric ward.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And because of my sense of humor and things that I would say and do, the clients, as they were known then, not patients, used to say to me, "What side of the fence are you?" And I say, "I'm the one that can legally go home at night."
Yeah.
So, and I absolutely love that. And, I've done different things. I was a teaching assistant for 18, 19 years, working with primary school teachers, and working with, I've got pop-up here on my, let me just close that. Thank you. The children, I'd work with special needs children, high achieving. So I had kind of both ends of the spectrum. I then retired. I thought, obviously retiring doesn't suit me. And that's where I met a coach who we both know, Joe Cantle. And my life has not been the same since. All for the better, I will add, all for the better. So, and now I have met some wonderful people through her, one being yourself. And I'm not just saying that because you're sitting there. Yeah. It is true. So now I work in sort of energy work and stuff like that. I do networking because, like I say, I'm a people person. I love, I love interacting with people, so they can see who I am. They can, they know that I'm fun. I don't take anything too seriously, unless you have to, and then I have to hold it in. So today, that's me, really.
Yeah. So it's been a bit of a journey then, a bit of a change and that. What do you think, what habits do you think you carried through that sort of helped you along that journey?
Well, one thing I thought before being coached that I had a positive outlook, but obviously there are always two sides. I also had this going through, I suppose you call it a negative or a sort of feelings that I wasn't any good. I was told I was never very clever. I was told I wouldn't amount to much. Just keep telling me this, will you? And of course, over time, you do, without realizing, start believing it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know what other people like, but I kind of buried it. So it was there within my nervous system, but because of my sense of humor, I buried it. But obviously, every now and then it would pop its ugly head up. And so, yeah, I had this for a very long time, which through Joe, I've been able to chuck out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was, you know, I don't know how people or teachers at schools, and I'm going back to the 60s and the 70s. Yes, I am that old. I don't know how they can be teachers who are trying to inspire kids, but at the same time, just squash them.
Yeah. Unless they didn't realise, you wonder, don't you? Because was that your, because obviously you was thinking back to those childhood memories for you,
Yeah.
and that, and then them working in a school. Did you
Yeah.
find that real conflict of obviously your own sort of habit of that coming up, but squashing it with humour? But then did you see it in the other children you was working with? That sort of, it still was there.
I think so, yeah. Only to a lesser degree. But I think because I knew what had happened to me, I tried I tried to help these children, that struggled, to help them see their full potential.
Mm.
But I suppose it's difficult when you've got a class of 30 and the teacher's got to go, and they've got guidelines they've got to go by. You can see how that has come through, because with education, one size does not fit all, but they have, like I say, they've got guidelines. They've got to get so much done that the teachers themselves, who are, don't get me wrong, they were really lovely people, but they themselves were stopped, if you like, because of these guidelines, doing what they really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that's teach.
Yeah.
And to lift the kids up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right. It's not that people want to put, or teachers want to put kids down, but they themselves have got stresses and stuff like that. And they've got deadlines to do, and sort of like coming from the top down, it's and this is why I think so many teachers feel downhearted. They feel that they can't give their best because of the system.
Yeah. And did you find that it was stressful for you when you was in the system as a teaching assistant?
Yes. Not when I first started, because the head teacher I had then, he couldn't care less. He just said, kids come first. And then it started to get, as more and more as the government were being more proactive in schools by saying, right, you've got to do it this way, you've got to do it this way, you've got to do it this way. That's when, if you like, I could see that all the children were trying to, or they were trying to get the children all to be exactly the same. There wasn't that sort of individuality. There wasn't, only because the teachers couldn't work outside their remit, if you like. And so over the years, it was getting harder and harder. I changed schools, and that was a little bit more sort of friendly, if you like, to the kids. But even so, it was still getting harder and harder for the teachers, the head teacher, to actually look at the kids as individuals.
Mm.
And I just got to the point, I went, I can't do this anymore. It was actually breaking me, let alone the kids.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going, I was losing my sense of humour. It was getting too much for me. And I just went, I've got to walk. So I walked.
And that's quite brave, isn't it? Because I think people listening that will resonate with that, who are in the school system, education system, or other systems that are very, very similar, where the stifleness can start to hit in, and your personality starts to get lost.
Yeah.
You know? It's brave, isn't it, to go, I'm just going to leave this.
Yeah.
I need to leave this.
Yeah. I think once you start listening to your body, once you start thinking, this is not what I want, this is not where I want to be. You know, don't get me wrong, I loved working with the kids. I loved the adults that worked there. It was just the system.
Mm.
And I knew if I stayed any longer, the system would have crushed me. So I walked away. Do I miss it? In some respects, yes. But I know it's not for me anymore.
Mm. What sort of habits did you get into, Karen, when you was in that just thinking about that stress sort of stifling sort of situation? What habits, or did you have no habits? Was it just in the sort of you get into that sort of treadmill of just moving and moving? And
Yeah, you do. You go. It is a treadmill. It, you know, as they say, sort of same day, different. But you do get in the habit of complaining.
oh yeah,
You get into that and think, oh, for goodness sake, you know, what's going on here? And without realizing it, you start complaining about each other. You don't mean to, but it because of, you know, you're overwhelmed with what's going on. You're stressed without realizing it. You're in conflict of your authentic self and what's happening with yourself and what you're doing, and so you've got this argument inside yourself, which means that then spills out and you start arguing with everybody else, you know, and at the end of the day the kids suffer. And I think that was something when I stood back and I went, I can't do this because the kids are suffering and that's not fair on them.
Yeah. You almost looked out first at what wasn't fair rather than going, it wasn't fair on you. Because that takes a bit of work, doesn't it, for us to actually go, it's about me. We'll go outwards first and you'll go, it's about the kids. I can't reflect this on the kids.
Yeah,
exactly. Before you go, actually, I can't cope with this. You know, it's like easier to go, you force it out first and then you realise it's you.
Exactly. It was me. But, you know, I'm thinking I can't inflict anymore. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't nasty to the kids, but I was getting to the point where I was short-tempered, which in a sense is not me. That's not my authentic self. And I knew that I had to stop that. I had to walk away. And I suppose, like you were saying, I looked on it outwards before I could look at it inwards, and put myself right, and look at who I really am, and how I reflect to the world.
Yeah. So interesting when you say about the habit of complaining.
Yeah.
We can get lost in that habit loop, can't we? And we don't see it as a habit because we also see habits often as the physical things we do. Oh, I always make a cup of coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
Do you know? But do you always make a cup of coffee in the morning and go to, for instance, the staff room and everybody's always already complaining? And that's the first thing in your day. of
Yeah.
the complaining or the moaning starts, and off we go. We're like,
Yeah.
we're on that treadmill of complaining. I've been in environments where, and I've done it myself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I've always had this little view that the minute I start really complaining, because I've witnessed it and then I started doing it,
Mm.
the minute I start really complaining is the time for me to go,
Mm.
because it's impacting on me now. Do you know?
Yeah.
And you think, because it's not my authentic self to be a constant complainer, but
No.
you get down that rabbit hole and people around you are complaining and you're fueling it, they're
Yeah.
fueling it. And we know now, because it takes a lot of work to sort of reflect that,
Mm.
but we can all relate to that energy, like lifting each other. We can lift each other, but we can also reflect on that. We all breed in that negative energy if we're around it, can't we?
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm sort of remembering now, there was a couple of times when I just exploded. Because I was protecting a vulnerable child.
Mm.
And there was all this complaining about this child. They didn't see that child as I saw them. And so I just, when they said anything negative about this child, I'd go,
Yeah.
try seeing him how I see him. Try it. Did that help me? No. Did that help any of the staff? No. Did it help? No.
No.
Absolutely not. But
Yeah.
it's because of that not being your authentic self, you start being like a Coke can, as we used to say at school.
Oh yeah. That sort of analogy.
Yeah, shake it, shake it, shake it, and shake it enough. Take the ring off, and
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's authentic self is it's a scary place,
Mm.
but it's the correct place to be, isn't it?
Mm.
What did you notice about your positive habits? Did you pick any up that during that time that at least helped you to get through? Your humor was one, wasn't it? Which was a sort of
Well, yeah, my humor for one.
Mm.
Was when I wasn't sort of like getting pulled into all the negative. I would then go no, 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 no. So I would then switch it to a for positive by being funny, by saying funny things, by getting people to see the funny side of it. And I'm going to cough again. It's yeah, and it was those times when I thought I'm being me, and other people loved me being me.
Mm.
And I mean, that's one thing that they kept saying. They said, "Oh, you've just got such a great sense of humor." And I look forward to talking to you.
Yeah.
And I go, really? But I think it's though I had that sense of humor, like I said before,
Mm.
you then start thinking, oh yeah, but yesterday I was really nasty. I was joining in with all this sort of gossiping, and I was joining in. But then today I'm not. Today I am being me. So, and I'd go home and think about it, and I think, right, tomorrow you're going to go in, and you're just going to be your cheerful self. And it towards the end, when I think about it, as soon as I thought, that's it, I'm walking, I can't do this anymore, my humor came out even more, and I was doing less of the joining in with everybody else.
Yeah.
So, I thought, well, this is the right decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. I know that some of the old staff that have left meet up, and I've met up a couple of times, and I've had to walk away and say, I can't do this anymore, because no longer is it in the staff room, but it's now in the coffee meetup.
Yeah, because as well, Karen, it's like your common ground, isn't it? It's the common bit that holds you together
Yeah.
is the negativity that you all felt, or the disruptive system, but then you haven't got a positive thing to say about it. So when it's funny, because you want to meet ex-colleagues because you remember the good times, but
Yeah.
when you get together, you sort of, you want to talk about the bad, don't you? Or what's still happening in that place. I mean, I know when I meet people where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it's still bad, and oh, and you go back down and you're like, whoa, I'm going back down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. I mean, I got to the point when, I mean, it was about 2 or 3 times, and I got to the point where I said nothing and then left early. Sorry, I've got an appointment.
Yeah.
Because I knew that that wasn't what I wanted to do. That's not where I was anymore.
Yeah. And it's such a journey, isn't it, to get to that point of self-realization.
Yeah. I mean, when I've sort of worked a lot within myself, and raised my vibration, to so that I don't do all these bad habits, so I don't go into sort of it's not depression, but you don't want to sort of feel down on yourself all the time, and it's looking at the positive. If a negative does come up, you acknowledge that, but you don't walk into it. So, or you don't hold on to it, go, yeah, fine, that's it, go on a little cloud, go away. But you acknowledge it, but you also then start being grateful for what you have done, for what is happening, for what is around, for your family, your friends, and that you're able to walk, able to breathe, you can touch things, feel things, see things, and being so grateful for that kind of, for your life, if you like.
Yeah.
So I like going out for walks. I don't do it very often. I definitely don't run. I always say to people, if you see me running, kill the thing that's chasing me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I go with Sam and my wife. We take the dogs for a walk, and we go to a really nice place, and it's got trees and stuff like that. And it's just so peaceful being able to, if you like, breathe in the nature and become one with nature.
And you wouldn't have done that before. You in the world before, you wouldn't have done that.
Nope. Wouldn't even thought about it. It would never have crossed my mind. It was a case of, yeah, walk, done that, back,
You tunnel vision, you're in that. We can totally relate, can't you? You get in that, we say that treadmill, but the spiral, and you're in that job, and then it's just, sometimes it's taking small little habit changes, even if you are in a situation that you currently can't get out of,
Yeah.
It feels too scary to do something different. You can do small switches, can't you, to sort of at least get yourself there.
It is, and it is all about the small steps. Because I think if you try and do too bigger steps, that's where you become the overwhelm. I can't do this. This is, I can't do it. But if you do little steps, get used to that, then you take the next step and the next step. I mean, we all sort of like think about the young little baby suddenly wants to stand up and walk, could take a couple of steps and flum straight back down again. but they don't give up.
Mm.
And this is the thing: stand up, take a couple of steps until, once you've taken those couple of steps, you take a couple more and a couple more. And then it becomes a way of life. So when I met Jo, we talked about things, and she said about mindful meditation. And well, she may have said that in a different language because I had no idea what she was talking about. What? So I've learned all about meditation, about mindfulness. And I thought, well, I don't need that really. I've got my sense of humor that helps me.
Do you think that was a bit of your armor as well? Was it serving as an armor a little bit, that sense of humor? Because you've got that was like,
Yeah, it was. It was my armor. It was something that I could hide behind. It was something that, if there was anything that I didn't like, I'd hide that and just use my humor. It would stifle my emotions other than laughter. But yeah, and it wasn't until I really started learning about meditation and mindfulness. That, it's taking time. It was taking time for me. And when I practiced a 21-day meditation, yeah, okay, I'll do this. That was my journey of me changing my life. I suddenly thought, actually, this is what I want. This is giving me the peace that I've been looking for. This is giving me the joy I've been looking for. And obviously it didn't stop there, but there are other modalities that came into play. But yeah, that was the first time of thinking, this is what I want. This is what I want.
Yeah.
Nobody else there saying, you've got to do this. But I chose. And I think that's the thing, is it's not a case of I've got to do it. I want to do it. I choose to.
Yeah. It's massive, isn't it? And when you started to approach that, because we can all relate, can't we, where we have all these gorgeous tools and processes, and we know now how impactful they are. When you're at the beginning of that path, it's absolutely scary. And how was you feeling it? And you're thinking, what is this? What is this?
I was so questioning myself, is this real? Am I, what am I doing? Because you have, I don't know about you, but I had this vision of way back in the 60s and the 70s of these hippies going,
yeah,
and
then you think people around you were going to have that vision of you too. So do you know, like you got your inner self that you're really working on, and you know that you need to make changes, and then someone's saying to you, well, sit and be mindful, or sit and be quiet, and you're like, I don't do quiet, I'm busy. Do you know? I'm funny, I'm busy, I'm loud, I'm lively. This is me. Do you know?
Exactly. I've got lots of ideas in my head, I
need to get things done.
I haven't got time to sit around. So yeah, that's exactly. I was, as a child, we were brought up in very strict church. My dad was a Catholic. My mum was Church of England. And, this kind of thing, meditation and all that. No, that wasn't done. That wasn't done in the church. And, I remember saying to a friend of mine, she still goes to church, that I'm doing this mindful meditation. And she said, oh, Did you have to be careful? She says, you shouldn't really be doing that. And I said, why is that? She said, because the devil can come in. Right. Okay. You don't understand meditation or mindfulness.
Mm.
And it's that sort of thing, and that can actually knock you back.
Yeah, massively.
Somebody's, in her mind, she was being helpful,
Yeah.
and I suppose I went home with my tail between my legs, as they say. And I'm thinking, and it took quite a lot of time for me to sort of say, actually, she's wrong.
Mm.
And I suppose through mindfulness and meditation, I have become what I would say, I am going to say that, is a better person than I was before. I've become a happier person, for true happiness.
Mm.
Yeah, I still have my sense of humour, but it's not done by a sort of like hiding behind my sense of humour. It's who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
feels authentic, Karen, rather than forced, sort
Yes,
of like.
exactly. It is authentic, and I can't be anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like you say, with all the other tools we've got that I've used, I feel as if I have grown as a person. There are far less judgments, even of myself. If I find that somewhere I'm judging myself, I know how to get out of that now because of the tools that I have.
Yeah.
And that I use. And so it's those habits that you try and dwindle away, and seeing yourself as divine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's those old habits that you've now got rid of. They don't serve you anymore.
They don't serve me anymore.
You recognize them as well, because I think the recognizing it is the like you said about the habit of complaining.
Yeah.
Which sometimes we're like, you don't recognize it, and then there's other ones pop up and you go, oh, I'm in a habit of doing that. I'll have to stop that. But it's not labeling it, going, I'm aware now.
Yeah.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
I don't have to do anything straight away, because I think we think, oh God, we've got to do it all straight away, and it's like, I can be aware of that, and I'll just see where that comes up.
Yeah,
and then
and there's things come up and you think, I thought I dealt with that.
Mm.
Why has that come up right now? What is it? What's the reason for that? And like you say, you just sit back. You might even park it, like you say, in the back of your mind. And if it comes up again, right. And you can either think about it, or sometimes I journal and I put it all down. And then I suddenly go, that's why it's come up.
Yeah. Such a fantastic, it's such a fantastic tool, because sometimes you don't always get the answer there and then, but you've got it out of your head, because those things, and especially I think when you're in work environments where it's quite toxic. I'm going to use the word toxic because that's how it ends up feeling.
Yeah.
You go home and that toxicness is with you, and then you're still thinking about that day. And sometimes I say to people, just write it all down, write that frustration down, because it just takes it from out your head onto the paper, and then go, right, leave it. Right, if it's paper, if it's journal, rip it up, burn it, whatever you want to do, or just turn the page.
Yeah.
Just say it's a fresh, because you can go home, and I know the situations where you're then on the phone messaging about the day, you're offloading the day, then you're telling somebody else, and it's literally, you're probably talking about that day for the past 12 hours.
Yeah.
Of that toxic. And if you sometimes just think, just little practices like journaling and just parking it, getting it out of your head, go for a walk, just get rid of that toxic feeling. It's helpful, isn't it, to try and break it up.
Yeah, exactly. And because if you don't do some kind of work on yourself, journaling or meditation, or whatever you practice, you start reliving that day in, day out.
Mm.
And you then you then become part of that problem.
Yeah.
And there's no release. It's like being in a prison.
Yeah. Yeah. I put a picture out, and I might repeat it again. Actually, it's so powerful. And people didn't quite get the message of it, but the message, there was a cage and it was a bed, but the bed had left the cage, but the cage was still around the bed's head. So the bed was free.
Yeah,
So the bed was free to roam, but the cage was still within the bed's head because it still felt trapped. You go home, you still feel trapped for the day. There are other ways that we say about, you said, journaling and techniques. And then it's like you start to come to realize, well, I need something different. And that's, even you never do that and you come to that realization, or you just come to that realization.
Yes.
Did you do any techniques before you came to that realization? Was you in with you did the mindfulness after you left work, that job?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, everything that I do now was after it. Because I suppose there was the start of there has got to be something better than this, without me realizing.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like, was I looking for a coach? No, I didn't know what a coach, I'd heard of coaches. And I went with Jo, and she kind of sort of like said, this is a good thing. I mean, you've got EFT, all the things that would regulate your nervous system. And I hadn't realized till she was helping me work within myself how much I needed that.
Yeah.
I thought I was okay. What do I need this for?
Yeah. And had you've had that back when you was teaching, and you could have used that, it'd have been fabulous, wouldn't it? You would have.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. If I'd known about this when I was working as a TA, it would have made a massive difference. Not just for me, but I could have sort of brought it to the kids. I could have brought it to the adults. I suppose I still could. I suppose I could still work in schools, but yeah. So the kind of thing I do now is my mindful meditation I take into old people's homes.
Yes. Yeah.
Into care homes.
Yeah. Glorious. Absolutely glorious. Yeah.
For me, it was just because the home I go to is where my mum was, bless her. And I just wanted to give back because how well they looked after my mum when she was there and stuff. And so I said, can I help the residents? I don't know how it'll go. They may or may not accept me. But bless them, they're in that room before I am.
Oh.
Hello dear, how are you? And yeah, I'm fine, thank you. You're looking forward to that? Oh yes. Because I've explained to them it's a time for them.
Yeah.
I also give them time we have a chat beforehand. I have a little grey elephant, little stuffed one, which they adore. And whoever has the elephant in their hand is the one who speaks and everyone else listens.
Yeah.
And when I first did that, a couple of them came to me afterwards and went, thank you. I felt heard. And I'm thinking, that is just so nice. And I think I'd be lynched if I didn't bring the elephant in.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they do the meditation and they absolutely love it. And they say they feel so much better about it. They feel calmer. And they've told me this is time I can have for myself.
Yeah.
Even though they say I'm in a group, it's still time for me. I can be me.
Yeah. And it's sort of when you're doing a guided meditation, because people go, I can't meditate, and I think that would be like, oh, I can't meditate, I can't switch off. You can start off with just 5 minutes and
Yes.
listen to somebody, just
Mm.
focusing on listening. And we all have thoughts. We are all, we can go longer now. I've trained myself, I can go longer, but I always talk about my first time of doing it. And I was in a room with
Yeah.
people, and I'm like, if I could do one eye open, because I can't, I'm not very good at it, I can't wink or do anything like that, but I would have done. In my mind's eye, I'm like, am I the only one got my eyes shut? Is everybody else got their eyes shut?
Yeah.
Oh, and then I'm thinking, I'm thinking about now what I need to do later on. No, stop thinking. Now I need to. It's called practice for a reason.
Yes.
Do you know, it takes a bit of practice. You will think of thoughts, put them on a cloud, let them float away,
Yeah.
try and come back. The more you do it, the more you will get used to it, and you will become calmer, become out of your head and into the calmness of your body to say, what do I need to do? Or
Yeah.
even calm your system down and go, I just feel that bit better now. Do you know, or all of that. But it's perfectly normal.
Yes, it is, and this is what I say to people, because I do a lot of networking as well. And I go in that I'm a mindful meditation practitioner, and this is what I do. And I can help sort of business owners. I can help anybody, but I say business owners to self-regulate their nervous system, and so that they can but their productivity will increase. And they go, you what? When you're out of your head, you've calmed your nervous system, you're just calm to be able to take one step at a time, like you say. But it does take practice.
Yeah.
Like you, when I first did it, I'm going, well, I can't see this working. I don't know what, I hear a bird outside.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Or I had a few people where it's like, oh, I just can't do it because I can't switch off. More reason to do it then. Because if your brain is constantly battling, it needs a little bit of a break. It needs the going out, and it just needs
a break. I mean, with some people and say, oh, I can't switch off. And I just say, right, just close your eyes. Breathe. Concentrate on your breathing. Even if it's just their normal breathing. I don't ask them to breathe in heavily or breathe out, because they'll go, you what? Just notice your chest rising and falling, up and down. And then I just do that for a minute, and they go, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Job done.
Refocus. Yeah. I start off with breath work before all I have to do is concentrate on the breathing. Just concentrate. Oh, Karen, I've loved speaking to you. I think we could go on forever, but I'm concerned that people are like, oh wow, this is like we're nearly on 50 minutes. We're like, wow, just chatting, you coughing a bit, but I'll just keep it all in.
Oh yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
It's natural.
It's authentic.
Authentic. I did feel that you totally lit up as well as you was talking about things. So how people can follow you on Facebook and that?
Yeah, Karen Bregazzi Jones is on Facebook. I'm working on my business side as well, for Instagram, but they can follow me on Bregazzi Jones, or LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm getting there with the old internet.
Yeah,
internet. So yeah, so I'm getting some help. So it should be sort of up and running fully in the next couple of months.
Brilliant. Thank you, Karen. Thank you for speaking.
Okay, no, thank you.